Decentralized Trust virtual meetup. We have a discussion today about deploying Hyperledger Fabric and Besu nodes on bare metal with ChainLaunch. Our speaker today is David Viejo. So thank you, David, for presenting to everybody. And as we were saying, if anybody has any questions or comments or suggestions about anything that you're talking about, please, we want this to be a discussion. Feel free to jump in, and happy to hear what you have to say. And with that, David, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for the introduction. So yes, as David said, so this is about a lab that is called Chain Deploy. So the ChainLaunch is a product, and we're going to see how to easily deploy Fabric and Besu nodes on bare metal. So I have a MacBook, and I will be deploying it through the whole session in my computer, so that you can see and you can follow along if you want later. So first of all, who am I? I'm David Viejo, I think most of you know. And I have been working 5 years in Hyperledger Fabric. I also created the Bevel Operator Fabric, which is a tool that makes it easy to deploy Hyperledger Fabric in Kubernetes. So I'm more or less obsessed with automation and efficiency. So all of the tools and projects that I do are related to how can I do this faster and more efficient and also secure. And I have deployed a lot of networks. So this is the result of deploying many networks, Besu Fabric networks. And one of the questions that you may be asking is why a new product, why a new tool? So what I found is that Kubernetes, this is related to the project that I created, Bevel Operator Fabric. Kubernetes is very good for handling large deployments, but if we're talking about small organizations or small companies, which I think is what the permission blockchain needs, it's too complex to deploy for an organization to get into Kubernetes just to deploy a couple of nodes and an API. So that is why I came with the idea of creating a new tool that works in bare metal. It can also work in Docker, but the idea is to be able to create nodes and networks for proof of concepts in minutes. So there is no need to have any Kubernetes skills. I did this so that everyone, every company could use it. It can be deployed either on your computer. In this case, I'm hosting it in my Mac computer, or it can be deployed also in Linux or in your cloud. So you own your data, so you are in full control. So this tool, so imagine that you have a Kubernetes cluster and you want to use this tool. You can use this tool in order to onboard more organizations, and we will see it if there is enough interest. So it has also production ready defaults such as monitoring, security. This is something that I think some of you have experience with Fabric Samples. So this is good. Fabric Samples is a repository that makes it easy to create a network. But if you want to create a network that is near production, then I think using the Operator Fabric or ChainLaunch will be a good way to escape Fabric Samples. And the idea is that ChainLaunch works for a lot of nodes and networks. So right now it works for Fabric and Besu, and I think are the most used in the permission blockchain space. But the idea is to have also Hyro, which has been recently introduced in the Linux Foundation, which is basically Hedera and others. So general architecture about the deployment. So this is really easy. You have ChainLaunch, which is deployed. ChainLaunch is one binary, and you expose it in the port 8100. Then it has a database, which is SQLite, so no need to install Postgres or MySQL. And then it will deploy the nodes using, in the case of Mac, it will use launch D, and in the case of Linux, we use systemd. It can also use Docker, but we will be deploying in this meetup using the bare metal, so systemd and launch D. And the user, it can create the nodes using the user interface, which is what we will be using, but there is also a CLI and there is also an API. So this is the idea. Security aspects. I think I have also another moment. So no, I don't have another diagram. Is there any question about this? Anyone? I want to make sure we're in the same page. Anyone? Any question? Okay. So one of the things, well, this is the interface. One of the things I wanted to have completed are the security aspects. So we're using the database, and there are multiple key management providers. So the one that will be shown in this presentation will be that the keys are stored in the database, but all of the keys are encrypted. So even if someone gets the database, they won't be able, without encrypting the encrypted key, to see the private keys. So also we have a way to backup and restore using RESTIC, which only backups into an S3 the data that is new. So it works very well with blockchain because you won't be backing up all of the data every time. So you can have a backup every hour, and then RESTIC will take care of that, so that in case that you have any problem, you will be able to restore it. So also we have in mind to integrate HashiCorp Vault and the HSM in order to not have to manage the keys. And this is more for companies that want to have ICO standards, or there are other standards also about security. And if a node goes down, then there is a way to connect it with an email so that you can get notifications about the downtime of a node and when it goes up. So I don't, unless there are any questions, I want to get into the project and how to use it. So I will leave 30 seconds for any questions, and if not, then I will start with the demo. Any questions with this? So ChainLaunch meetup. So I'm going to paste also this website, docs ChainLaunch there. Getting started. So this is what I will be doing. And the first step is to download the binary that we mentioned earlier. So in the ChainLaunch meetup, I will be downloading so this is the script that we're going to execute. And it's here. We'll upload this repository so that everyone can see it. But since it will be a back and forth between the user interface and the editor, then I will do it here. So I have downloaded for Apple Silicon, since I'm on a Mac, and this will go into user local bin ChainLaunch. So it will ask me for this password in order to move the file, and then we will be able to get the version, which has been built just a few hours ago, and then we have the version B001. Then after this, so with this command, so we need to start the server. To do that is ChainLaunch serve. This will be the SQLite database that will be created. and then this is where the data will be stored. So there will be a new folder here, meetup test, and this will start the API and also the user interface in this port. So let's, and also we need to define the ChainLaunch user and ChainLaunch password. So we'll set this user and password since this is local, it won't be exposed. And for Besu, we need to set the Java home. Okay, so this is because Besu needs Java, so these are the environment variables that we need. So once we have this, then we can execute the command and then run in production using database, okay, and then created the initial user with username admin. And then we will be able to go to the user interface on the port 8100, and we type a password, and then we're in. So this is the user interface. If you have any question, please let me know. So there is an API documentation, which is what I mentioned in Swagger. And if you check, so here we have authentication, login user, login password. This is for this user interface, but there is also backup schedules, and it supports also basic authentication with user and password. So you can use this in order to be able to, for example, create a new fabric network. So we have at the network creation request, we have the config, which has many properties. And with this, you can create a fabric network. And you can get a fabric network. There is also an explorer that we will see, get list of blocks from fabric network, which the network ID is required, and then you can put some for pagination, limit, offset, reverse, etc. So this is something that you have directly in the user interface. Then you can explain the basic stuff that is on this interface. So we have a way also to have multiple users. So I can put username. I can create a username, David Viejo, and then the password, and then there are 3 modes: viewer, manager, admin. Then I create as a manager, and then if I go into an incognito path, then you will also be able, and as you see here, the user is not available for the manager. So there is some role-based authorization access control for this, and I think this is great. So apart from this, so let's start creating the fabric organization. So we have a tab for the organizations, and this emulates what you will do in using commands in shell scripts. So when you create an organization, I'm going to create test meetup, and then this is the providers that we talk about. So for now there is database provider, but the idea is that there could be a HashiCorp Vault provider or HSM provider to create the certificate authorities. So we can create the organization, and then we can create also test order meetup, and then we can create another organization. So for each of these organizations, in the key management, which is the most important part of this of ChainLaunch, because one of the goals and the challenges is how to manage all of these keys in a secure manner. So we see that for each organization we have the signed CA, which is the certificate authority for the orders to sign, then one for the admin, one for the client in the sign, and then the TLSCA. So these are all the keys that has the fabric organization. And with these keys, and work with this organization, then we are able to go to the nodes, which we will see all of the nodes created. For now, we don't have any. And if we go to create node, and this is what I was talking about. So for now, we only support Fabric and Besu, but the idea is that these to support Hydro and also public networks. So and in the future also even do bridges. So even deploy bridges and API. So this is something that I wanted to do in this meetup, but I won't be able to do it. But is the plugins part. So in the plugins part, the idea is that you have this is the repository that I'm working on. So this is an example of a plugin, and the plugin will work as a Docker Compose. So in this case, we'll be able to have a Fabric API deployed only using this YAML. And then the parameters is a basic JSON schema, and then via custom extensions for the JSON schema, then the user interface. In the user interface, you will be able to select the Fabric organization, the key to be used, etc. So that creating a network and then having an API will be as easy as clicking some of doing some stuff in the user interface, or using the CLI. Because if we add another terminal and then we see the commands in ChainLaunch, then we see that there are some commands for the key, so we can use one. So I'm able to interact with the API also using the same binary that we have used to start the server. So the idea is that you have two options: one using the user interface and the other using the CLI. But in this case, we will use the user interface. So let's go to the nodes. Well, as I have explained, so this is something that we're working on adding more types of nodes and networks, but this will take time. So if anyone wants to implement it for a network that they are using, it's welcome. So in this case, this is to create a single node, but we're going to use bulk create nodes, which is specific for Fabric. So in this case, we are going to select the organization. So I'm going to create the peers now. There's meetup org, 2 peers, and then this is the same form that we will see in the individual create node. But in this case, the listen address is an address that no one is listening on. Then we can add the domains if this peer will be accessed on another domain. So in this case, it will be only localhost. So this will be empty. Then the chain code address and then the events address. There is not much else configuration for the peer. And then we have, this was for the peer1, and then this is for the peer2. And the name is already different. So this is peer0 test meetup org, this is peer1 test meetup org. So we can go next. This is the summary. So 2 peers will be created for this organization. And then let's click create nodes. This will take some time because this is downloading the binaries from the, so for the B3.1.0. And if we check the ChainLaunch meetup, this is the meetup test, then we will see here the binaries. Meetup test being 3.1.0, and these are all the binaries that are being used. If you want to see the service, so this is in launch agents, and for the PR0, this is the definition of the service. So this ensures that even if you restart your computer or something happens, and the same is in Linux with systemd, so this will be running all the time. And these are all the environment variables. So it's the same as if you are deploying it in Kubernetes. So we have two peers. Also, feel free to interrupt to ask any question. We have two peers. We're missing the three orders, so we can also create it using the bulk create nodes, three orders. And then instead of two, we will have the orderer one with this name. You can select another version in case that you want. The mode I recommend service right now, you can use Docker. And then you have the same, the domains, listen address, operation address, external endpoint, and then the admin address. This is for the channel participation API. And then we have the same for the orderer 2 and the same for the orderer 3. Then we can click next. Then the scene summary will be shown, and then we can create the three orders that are missing. And in this case, you can see it went super fast because most of the time was spent in downloading the binary. So if we get into the node, we can see the general information about the node. This is orderer 0. Then we have the key IDs that are being used. So this is for the sign key and the TLS key. And for the sign key, there are some keys that for Ethereum, no, but for Fabric, there are some keys that have a certificate. And in this case, we can see all of the details about the certificate, the organization, orderer meetup org, the issuer, validity period. This will be valid for 1 year. And the same for I believe this is for the TLS. Yeah, this is for the TLS. So this is some information that we can see here. As actions, we have stop, restart, and renew certificates, and also edit if you want to change the listen address, operations address, external endpoint, etc. More parameters will be added here. So if you want some parameter to be added here in order to modify it or to customize the order, feel free to open an issue in GitHub. And apart from that, we have the logs. So we can see here the logs of the order of this node. We have the crypto material with the signing certificates. We can see the view details. We can see the details that we have seen on the other screen, the validity period, the extensions, etc. And we can see the events. In this case, if I stop and I refresh, well, here there should be events. I'm not sure what. They should be fetched here. And then the channels, well, I think I stopped it. So yeah. And then the channels, no channels found for this node. So when we create the channel for Fabric, we will be able to see it here. So in this case of the PR, there are no channels. And then the events I need to fix. So this is the crypto material for the PR and all of the configuration. So we can go to the networks, and then for now we support only Fabric and Besu. And then we can create a network or import a network. This is for the onboarding. Okay. And if we create a network, then I will call this channel test meetup. Then for the local organizations, the orderer meetup org will be an orderer organization. There are some organizations that can act as both, but for this time, we're not going to use that. So the test meetup org will be a peer organization, and then the orderer meetup org will be an orderer organization, and we will have all of these consenters. Create channel. And then the Genesis block has been created. So we can see, we will see all of these tabs. But one of the most important parts is the channel configuration. So we have this channel is using Raft consensus protocol, and we have all of these consenters, the options, and then the batch size, which is 500. We will be able to modify it, and also the batch timeout and the application organizations. So basic information about the channel. So the next thing that we need to do is join all of the nodes. So what we can do is go individually to each node and then click join node, or click in this this button, join all nodes. So all nodes will be joined. And in order to verify it, then we can go to the nodes tab, we can go to the view logs, and then we will be able to see starting rough node as part of new channel. This is for the order 0 test meter. And if I go to PR0, then we should be able to see the block receiver starting test meetup. Yeah. So this peer has been joined, but in order for the network to work, we need to configure the anchor peer. So this is basic Fabric operations. We add the anchor peers for this organization, and then this will be updated. And in the details, we can see that in the application organization, there is a test meetup org. In before, we didn't have any anchor peers, and now we have. And we are also able to delete an anchor peer. So if I delete an anchor peer, just for you to see that this is working, I go to the details, and then the anchor peer is removed. And if I go to the logs, I should be able to see that in the PR1, for example, committed block 2. So this is how easy it is to create a new network. Imagine that right now we want to have another order organization. So order to meetup.org, create organization, then we are going to create another network. First, we need to create the orders. So let's create 2 orders for this new organization. We don't need to review this since we have already reviewed it. So next, create nodes. And so these are running. Let's get into that. So these are the logs currently. And let's create a network. Fabric channel. What is the network that we, okay, test meetup, so test meetup 2. And then it will have all of these consenters, so 5 consenters. And then we can create the channel. And then we can join all of the nodes. And if we go to the nodes again, and we go to the view logs, then this will be the 2 new orders. And then we see here that the channel has been created. So we can do this a lot of times. So we have in this case, we're missing the core peers. So let's add it. Yeah, right now we will be set. So the next part, so we have created the network. So we're going to try to go to the chain code. And here we have a chain code instruction, chain code installation instructions. So I have, I cloned this into a folder. And this is basically how you can start a chain code and start developing chain codes in the new created Fabric network. So the first part is pulling the network config. This is using the ChainLaunch binary. So ChainLaunch Fabric network config. In this case, we're using ChainLaunch username and ChainLaunch password. So, but let's copy it. And this is the ChainLaunch meetup folder. And this is the chain code TypeScript folder. So let's add it. Let's open it into a new tab. And this is the network config that I had already. So okay. So this is what we're going to execute. The ChainLaunch password will be admin123 and test meetup org, and this will be the channel name. So let's execute it. Okay, network config written to the network config YAML, and then we have a network config with the organizations. In this case, test meetup.org, and then with a user that we will use in order to install the chain code, which this is the next step. So the next step is start chain code service. We will need to install it. This means local. This means that it will be for a chain code that will be locally deployed. Then let's copy this command. And then this will use only, this will not use any ChainLaunch API, so this will use the network config YAML, and then we'll install, approve, and commit the chain code. So let's, and this will be the chain code address 9996, which we will be using in order to spin up the chain code service. So this is using chain code as a service. Then we see the logs, chain code installed in both pairs. And this is approving the chain code, this is committing the chain code. So, and the next step is to build a project using BAN. So we build the chain code, and then okay, just build it, and then we will see this list folder, and then let's run it. Okay, and in the next, well, we will create another terminal. So in the next terminal, we will be able to invoke and query the chain code. So let's paste it here. This will be using the MSPD test meetup org, same, and the same will be using the network config that we have already put. So channel name, chain code ID, and then we are invoking the chain code name that we have just installed, approved, and committed. Okay, so this was fast. And then we are now going to query the chain code. And we will see all of the assets that have been written. So how do we verify if this is true or not? So we're in the network detail, and then we have the explorer. So in the explorer, the last 4 blocks, I don't know. I think the last 4 blocks are being shown. So we can see all blocks, and this has been all the blocks that have been created. So the latest block is the 6, and there is only 1 transaction in the latest block. And what we can do in the previous node, because well, these ones were about the approval and commit. In the first one, there won't be much information shown, but in the last one, we will see the read set and the write set. This is something that the Fabric internally uses. So that read set is the keys that have been read during the chain code execution during this transaction, which we have the ID here. And then the write set are all of the key values that have been written. As you can see here, we have the chain code ID, we have the key and the value. So this serves as a basic explorer, which as of now has been integrated only with Fabric. And then we can go back to blocks, and then we can inspect it, for example, for the 3. This is for the approval of the chain code, and then this is for the commit of the chain code. So this is just for you to have some visibility over the network. Now, I will repeat it again. So if anyone has any question, let me know. Otherwise, what if we want to update the channel? So this is something that there is some pro tabs here. So basically, what the pro or the premium version of this will contain is the ability to onboard networks in a decentralized way. So there will be a DID, and there will be a way to connect with other ChainLaunch nodes, and you will be able also to share this channel to other ChainLaunch nodes, and they will be able to accept it. But in this case, we're only reviewing the open source solution, which I think is good enough in order for you to be able to start networks, do proof of concepts without the hassle of deploying Kubernetes. So if you have a network that you have created and you want to update the channel, then we have a few operations here. We can add organization, we can remove organization, and when you select the type, then you will see a specific form for each of the operations. But what we want to test right now is something that not all the times, but most of the times is changed, and it's the batch size. So we're going to update the batch size, and this is the absolute max bytes per, I believe it's per block. This is the preferred max bytes, and this is the maximum transactions that can go into a single block. So we're going to double it to 1,000, and then we're going to update the channel. So right now, just okay. So right now, if we go to the Explorer, this is the last block. Okay, and we're going to update the channel. So channel updated. If we go to details, then we will see that this has been updated also to 1,000, and then we will see another block less than a minute ago. And in view details, we will see that this is type config. So apart from creating the network, we can also manage it here using this channel update tab. We can also increase the batch or decrease the batch timeout. So I can lower it to 1.5 seconds, which is the minimum recommended. But usually it's 2 seconds. 2 seconds is good enough. And we can update the channel updated. Then we can go to the details, and the batch timeout has been updated, as you can see here. And in the Explorer, we will see a recent block. So the block 7. Any questions until here? So we have done like an end-to-end test of creating the organizations, creating the networks, installing the chain code, approving it, committing it, starting the chain code, and then doing some transactions, and then finally updating the network configuration. So anyone has any question? Okay. So apart from this, something that I have mentioned in the presentation is the backups. So we have 3 things: backup targets, backup schedules, and backups. So these are the backups that have been taken as it needs a backup target and a backup schedule. And then the schedules is basically when the backup will be executed. So every hour. What is ChainLaunch used for? Someone is asking. So ChainLaunch is for deploying networks, Fabric networks and Besu networks. So as of now, I don't know if I went too fast on this, but if you are asking me this, maybe I did a bad job at the presentation. But basically, ChainLaunch is what you see. So creating nodes, creating networks, and then managing blockchain networks, permission as of now. Okay. So for the backups, I have Min.io installed with a lot of buckets. So what I'm going to do is create an access key. So this is running locally. And I will create a backup target. So this will be local. The endpoint will be localhost 9000. And the access key ID, and then we will have the secret key. And then the bucket name, so we will go to Minio. So Minio is an S3 API. Let's create this. And then let's go to buckets. Let's go to buckets, and then let's create a bucket to back up the whole, all the nodes. meetups backups. Okay, so we have the bucket here, and we have also Restic installed. And we can configure this. Okay, then we have Restic installed. So let's copy this backup name. And then the bucket path will be the path inside the bucket where the backups will be stored. And the region for Minayo. You can put whatever region because it doesn't matter. And then fourth path style. So this is something that for Minio you need to check. For AWS now because they are using domain names. So, but for me, if you have Minayo here locally and you want to integrate it, or you have it in another server, then you need force path style here. Then the backup target has been successfully created, and then we can create the schedule. So daily backup, and then this will be the schedule for daily backups. Retention days 30, and then it will be the backup will be performed in the local menu. Then we can create the schedule, and then we can wait until the schedule, but we don't have enough time. So I will create manually a backup using the backup target, the backup schedule, then create a backup, and then the backup is in progress and will take some time. So in the meantime, we can go to the object browser, backups, and we see some data here. So the backup has been completed, 1.17 gigabytes. So if I execute a lot of times the invoke, I want to see this size going up. We can do another backup now. In progress. Yeah, as of now is this. So if I create more nodes, then it will go up. Maybe with Besu, it will go up. So, and in order to restore it, we're not going to do it here, but in order to restore it, you have a document here in order to how to restore a backup. So basically, we will need the S3 endpoint, the bucket name, bucket path, the Restic password, which is in the SQLite database, and then the output path. Well, we can try to do it. So I will need to create another access key. Okay. And then it will be the secret key. And then let's create it. Okay. Then the bucket name will be this one, test meetup backups. And then the bucket path is backups. And then the Restic password, we need to go to the test DB. And then for the backup target, then this is the Restic password. Not sure if I will be able to proceed. A moment. Okay. So let's declare this, and it will be ChainLaunch restore test. I'm not sure if the backup, the Restic password is good, but yeah. Well, it was good. So basically, it has downloaded all of the nodes, the orderers, we have 5, and then the peers, the encryption key, session key, and then basically we will be able to get all of this information and spin up the ChainLaunch server as we have done in this using this command. So instead of having this meetup test, then we will be able to spin it up using the folder that we have just downloaded. So I'm not going to go deep into that, but so that you know that there is backup support, and then you can have it run daily or you can have it run hourly, so as you want. And then all of the backups will be here. And then if we go to monitoring, then I have locally also a MailPit, which is a local server provider, a mail provider. And then I can add a new provider, so MailPit, set as default provider. Then the host will be localhost, whatever you want. Then the SMTP port will be 1025, and then the SMTP username and password will not be used. Use TLS false because this server doesn't support it. And then you will see the notification settings, which is what we talked about. So we will create this provider, and then let's test it. I will put my address, but we will need to go here. So this is working. So in the case that we note this down, so let's say I stop it, and then I'm going to stop the server and launch it again so that it runs. We will be able to see node downtime alert with the error message, and then node that is failing. So this is what I talk about when I talk about monitoring. So in case that any node is down or there is any problem, that if you configure the monitoring, then you will be able to get alerts about what is happening. Or imagine that a backup fails. In this case, it hasn't failed, but imagine that a backup fails, then you will get a message saying that, hey, this backup failed because of this reason. So, any question? Anyone? Okay. So we're going to go into the Besu part. So for Besu, there are many ways to create a network. So, well, as of now, we have created 2 fabric networks. But for Besu, we will need, because Besu is quite different compared to Fabric. So for Besu, we need first, this is the process. So the keys, node keys are generated. Then the Genesis file is created. And then each node starts with plus the Genesis date. So it's not like Fabric that you create organizations and then you can create a network. So with this, you need to first create the keys, then create a network, which is the Genesis file, and then start the nodes. There is a question, compared with a node, how much time faster is a ChainLaunch? It's faster in terms of setting up networks and nodes. It's not faster. I mean, the nodes that run behind the scenes are the same. It can be faster to run this on bare metal rather than Kubernetes, but because of the virtualization that there is. So in this case, we're running it in my PC, basically. So there is nothing faster than that. So when you add Docker or Kubernetes, then you have more layers, and these layers are add time, basically, and decrease your performance. So this is for Flyboat, who asked for that. So we have this process. So in order to make this easier, because this is the goal of this project, we have created a page. So you can create a Besu network, which it has the basic information. This is for ChainLaunch API, network name, and network description, and it has the network configuration. And the hardest part of this is to to set the existing key. So in this case, we will need to go to key management, then enter the key, for example, Besu node 1 test. Okay. And then we select the provider, and then we will need to do this 3 times, and then it will appear here. And then this will be the keys, the validator keys that will be used. So in order to avoid that, we will go to networks, and we will go to Besu network bulk, and then we will select we will set a number of nodes. So in this case, it will be 4. So this will create 4 validator keys and nodes. This will be at the end in the step 4. So next, and it has created the 4 keys. So if we go to the key management section, then we can see that all of these keys have been created. Besu validator key 1, key 2, key 3, key 4. And this will be the keys that will be used in order to spin up the nodes. So this is the consensual algorithm that we will use, KBFT. And then these are the validator keys, which basically are the ones that we have created. And well, there are a bunch of keys, not interested. And then we have the network name. So it's Besu network. Description is not mandatory. And then we have the block period, seconds, the chain ID, Coinbase address, difficulty, epoch length, gas limit, repos timeout, nick hash, so everything that is in the Genesis JSON is here, basically. And then initial allocations. This is, for example, if you want a specific address to have some Ethereum for the gas, and then you can add it. You can add the address, and you can have the amount in hexadecimal in this case. So let's do this. We have in the ChainLaunch meetup, there is a test Besu folder, which I have created. So let's open it. Let's open test Besu. And then in the README, the first thing that we need to do is create a new account for Besu, well, for Ethereum in this case. So, so I thought this was working. That's okay. That's wallet. Perfect. So private key will be this. I will be putting it here. I will be exporting it, and this will be the address. So let's go back to. Yeah, there is no GitHub as of now. I'm not sure. Ronald, what GitHub are you looking at? If you can paste it, I can solve it for you. So this will be the address, and then for the amount I have here. Okay, so I think this hexadecimal will be good enough. Which this is a lot of Ethereum. Okay, we'll fix it. Is this one? Is this? This is the repo format. I just pasted it in the channel in Zoom. So this will create the genesis. Let's click next. Network created successfully, and then if we go to the networks, we will see test Besu, well, Besu network. There's a typo, but you get the idea. And then we can see here the genesis. And if we check the address, we will see that the address is in the initial allocations. So with this, we will ensure that basically we have enough balance to deploy and to invoke smart contracts. Okay, so the next part is configuring the nodes. So I made sure that for local you don't need to configure anything. So you have that the Besu network 1, it has a Besu validator key 1. This is the external IP. This is the internal IP. And the peer-to-peer port, and then the RPC port, which will be the one that we will use in order to communicate and to send transactions and to install, to deploy smart contracts. And then the first one doesn't have any boot node, but the second one has the boot node of the first one using my private address. Then the node 3, which is a validator, has the boot node for the first one also, which this is using the peer-to-peer communication. And then the node 4, the same. So it has the Besu validator key 4. Then we can click next, and then this is the summary, and then we can create network, but we will create the network. The network is already created, so we will create the nodes. There will be a small delay because the binaries for Besu need to be downloaded. So if we go to the nodes, and this will take some time, so it's starting its node. So for Fabric it was very fast because it's Go, but for Besu it takes more time. So, but we can see as of now we have all of the nodes. So we can go to view logs, and I think it will take a minute for the network to start producing blocks based on my experience. So it's not as okay. Imported empty blocks. So yeah. So produces empty block 2 and produces imported empty block 1. Perfect. So and we have it for the network 3. No, okay, if I go to node, there is importing also empty blocks. And then node 2 imported empty block. And then node 1 imported empty block. So right now we have a Besu network with 4 nodes. For the management of the network, there is not yet something in place as it is in Fabric, but it will be implemented soon. So let's go to the test Besu. So right now we have the private key. We have a sample smart contract counter. So with the private key, then what we will do using forts, we will deploy the smart contract using this command forts create. This will be the Solidity file, and then this will be the contract. And this is needed for Besu because it's not at the last version, so we need this. And also we need in Foundry Toml, we need the EVM version to be Berlin. So I had a lot of issues because of not having these two things, the legacy and then the EVM version. So let's execute this command. This will compile the Solidity into bytecode, and then it has been deployed. And then if we go to the ChainLaunch logs, then we will see here that imported block 26, one transaction. So this basically means that this is the transaction that has deployed the smart contract. And then we need to get the contract address, which is this deployed to hexadecimal, and then contract address, and then we can call the number. This is how you get the property of a smart contract. Then it will be 0, and then we can send a transaction increment, which will take some time. Then if we go to the Besu node 2, we will see produced block 36 with one transaction. So this means that it has gone through. And then we can get the number, which will be 1. So the standard Ethereum logic. So nothing related to ChainLaunch. I just wanted to demonstrate that the network that we have deployed is a network that is usable, and we're able to deploy a smart contract using Forge. And well, using Foundry, which I have the link. This is the project that I'm using, Foundry, which has 4 commands. So cast, Forge, Anvil. We're not using that, but this will be to deploy a not Besu but Ethereum development node. And then Chisel, which I have not used, to be honest. So the main ones that I use for development in Besu are these ones: Forge in order to deploy smart contracts, and Cast in order to invoke smart contracts, and also create wallets. So, any question about this? I think we're coming to the end, so there is not much stuff that I can show. I think I show everything that I have here. So we have shown the nodes, monitoring. We have tested it with a node that was down. We have created 2 networks in record time. So in 1 hour, with presentation included, we have created networks in Besu and Fabric locally, which otherwise would have taken a lot of time. And then we have many organizations, 3 organizations to be exact, in Fabric. And then key management, which is what we have used in order to create the keys that are needed for the nodes, because at the end, blockchain is based on cryptography. Then we did create a user, and we saw how the roles are managed. Also, I edit it and then upgrade it to manager, so or upgrade it to admin, or downgrade it to manager. Then we have set the backups. In the settings side, there is nothing interesting. So in case that you want to modify the command of the PS order and Besu, then you can do it, but this is not something that is usually done. And then we have seen the API documentation. So this is what you can use in order to, if you don't want to use this user interface, or if you don't want to use the CLI, then you can use the API. So any questions about this? Anything you want to see or else? Otherwise, I don't know, David Boswell, I think. Unless there are more questions.
Great. Let me check on YouTube real quick to see if no questions there. We were getting viewers, but no questions. So I think, yeah, we might be all set.
Yeah. So if well, I had like I'm glad that it was clear. I mean, try to. I didn't prepare it to be honest, but I have done this a lot of times. So, so
That's great.
I
No,
will.
that's great.
If
Thanks for
you want,
sharing.
if you want to contact me, maybe it can be useful. So this is my LinkedIn, David Viejo. So I put it in the chat, and feel free to put it here also. So feel free to contact me. I was going to ask if there is any questions on deployment governance, but I think that depends on each company or each way of doing things. So, but I don't know. Maybe there is something a doubt that anyone has. I mean, I try to make this project as simple as possible, as you can see. So
That's great. Well, if people do have questions, I'll share your LinkedIn profile link over email with everybody who signed up, and I'll send the recording and the slides and the other links you shared. So if people have additional questions, they can always follow up.
perfect. Sounds good. So thank you everyone for coming to this meetup. I hope you learned something new, and see you in the next one. So
Great.
thank you,
Thanks,
David.
Sean.
Thank you.
Bye.